Hello students and welcome to the lecture on multi-layer feed-forward networks. The 10th lecture in the lecture series for the course of Artificial Neural Networks for Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering students of the 7th semester, Goa College of Engineering. I am Ms. Purti Savardekar, the faculty in charge for this course. At the outset, I would like to introduce you to the term TLU. TLU stands for Threshold Logic Unit. We have been previously introduced to this basic neuron model. A neuron model is called a TLU if it implements thresholding as the activation function. We also know that a TLU therefore is a dichotomizer. A TLU basically generates a line that divides a pattern space into two pattern classes. We then used this TLU to obtain classifiers for logic gates. We now know the concept of linear separability also. We define it this way. Assume that we have a training set S1 of patterns belonging to class 1 and a training set S2 of patterns belonging to class 2. If we cannot find a weight vector W such that X transpose W is greater than 0 for each pattern P belonging to the set S1 and X transpose W is less than 0 for each pattern belonging to the set S2, then the pattern sets S1 and S2 are linearly non-separable. Obviously, weight vector W decides the equation for the line of the dichotomizer. If you cannot find W, you cannot find the line. Why can't you find the line? Because the patterns are linearly non-separable. I hope this definition of linear separability is clear. In the last class, we also used XOR logic as an example where patterns are linearly non-separable. Today, we will try to understand the way in which XOR and other such problems may be solved. Consider this example where there are patterns belonging to two classes positioned this way in the pattern space. We can see that the patterns are linearly non-separable. We cannot draw one single line in a way that patterns belonging to the two classes will be separated. But if we observe closely, it is possible to have multiple lines drawn in such a way that they create compartments. And each compartment consists of patterns belonging to only one class. Let us have these partitioning surfaces 1, 2 and 3. These partitions create compartments, and as you can see, the compartments have been created in such a way that each of them consists of patterns belonging to one class only. Let us call these compartments A, B, C, D and E. The arrows show that each line has a positive and a negative side. Also, this partitioning is non-redundant, meaning it is implemented with minimum number of lines. The lesser the number of lines, obviously the lesser the number of TLUs. We want a smaller neural network. We don't want to use a large number of TLUs. That means now we have 3 lines, hyperplanes, that have suitable weights. Each line is a result of a TLU having those weights. The TLUs are as shown here. They have the outputs O1, O2 and O3. Positive side of the line represented by the TLU will have the output equal to +1. Negative side will have the output equal to -1. That means O1, O2 and O3 can each have either a +1 value or a -1 value. Now, since each pattern lies on either positive or negative side of every line, for every pattern, the TLUs will give either a +1 or a -1 response. For example, for patterns in compartment D, response from O1 would be -1, response from O2 would be +1, and the response from O3 would be -1. For patterns in compartment A, response from O1 would be -1, response from O2 would be -1, and the response from O3 would be +1, and so on for each compartment. This table shows the summary. Pause the video for a minute or two and verify the table. What we do now is extremely important. We take the original pattern space and map each pattern into something called the image space. This image space has O1, O2 and O3 as the XYZ axis. What you are seeing here is a cube that extends from -1 to +1 in the O1, O2 and the O3 direction. Patterns from each compartment get mapped to a coordinate point in the image space. These are the points among all the points that form the vertices of a cube in this case, because we have drawn 3 lines or 3 hyperplanes. That's why O1, O2, O3. That's why a cube. These points would look like these. Compartment A from pattern space gets mapped to the vertex -1, -1, 1 in the image space. Compartment B from the pattern space gets mapped to the vertex 1, -1 and 1 in the image space. Compartment C from the pattern space gets mapped to the vertex -1, 1 and 1 in the image space. And compartment D from the pattern space gets mapped to the vertex -1, 1, -1 in the image space. Compartment E from pattern space gets mapped to the vertex 1, 1, -1 in the image space. Now observe the points. These points are now easily separable in the image space by any hyperplane, such as this. You can see that this hyperplane has separated the points B, C and E from points A and D. What has happened here? The linearly non-separable points in the pattern space have now got converted into linearly separable points in the image space. These points in the image space are now separated with the help of this plane. The plane is such that points B, C, E lie on its positive side because these are the class 1 patterns, and points A, D, E lie on its negative side because these are class 2 patterns. Let us have a look at the table. We see the table and we realize that the equation of one such hyperplanes can be O1 plus O2 plus O3 equal to 0. For this plane, points B, C, E give a plus 1 response, which says that they lie on the positive side of the plane. And points A, D give a minus 1 response, which says that they lie on the negative side of the plane. This hyperplane consists of these points. These points follow the equation of the plane, this equation. How can this now be represented in the network? Pause the video for a minute or two and try to come up with the answer. Go ahead, give it a try. Yes, the equation says it all. The hyperplane in the image space has to be implemented as a TLU. A TLU that takes the outputs O1, O2 and O3 as the inputs with weights 1, 1, 1. The final output O4 will give a plus 1 for a pattern belonging to class 1 and a minus 1 for the pattern belonging to class 2. This is the final neural network that implements the classifier for these patterns. What we learned from this example is that linearly non-separable patterns can be mapped into an image space where they may become linearly separable. If the patterns in the image space are still not linearly separable, another mapping to the next image space can be made, which will obviously add another layer to the neural network. Now that the concept is clear, we can apply this concept to our XOR problem. This is our XOR problem. We have 4 non-separable patterns 0, 0, 1, 1 giving the output 0 and 0, 1, 1, 0 giving the output 1. Let us call the patterns A, B, C, D. One of the ways in which the partitioning can be done so that each of them consists of patterns belonging to one class only is this. The arrows show that positive side of the lines has class 1 patterns and negative side has class 2. Also, this partitioning is non-redundant, meaning it is implemented with minimum number of lines. The first line passes through the points minus 1 by 4, 0 and 0, half. Therefore, using the formula for equation of the line, we get the equation 2x1 minus x2 plus half equal to 0, or 2x1 minus x2 equals minus half. To check if this equation of the line is correct for positive and the negative sides, assume the point 0, 0. We know that 0, 0 is a class 2 point. It must lie on the negative side of the line. It should give a negative response. It should give a 0 response. 2 into 0 minus 0 becomes 0. It should actually be less than half. It is not. Okay. We know that 0, 1 is a class 1 point. It must lie on the positive side of the line. It should give a positive response. It should give response 1. 2 into 0 minus 1 is minus 1. It should be greater than minus half. Greater than minus half. It is not. That means the equation needs to be rewritten. It should be written as minus 2x1 plus x2 minus half equal to 0, or minus 2x1 plus x2 equals half. The equation of the line is the same, but the weights have changed. Now let us check the same points again. 0, 0 is a class 2 point. It should lie on the negative side of the line. Minus 2 into 0 plus 0 should be less than half. Yes, 0 is less than half. 0, 1 is a class 1 point. It must lie on the positive side of the line. Minus 2 into 0 plus 1 should be greater than half. Yes, 1 is greater than half. Now the equation has the correct form. This can now be implemented as the first TLU. Assume that the second line passes through the points 0, minus half and half, 0. Pause the video for a minute or two and come up with the appropriate equation of the line that will be implemented as a TLU. Go ahead, give it a try. Yes, the equation of the second line is x1 minus x2 minus half equal to 0, or x1 minus x2 equals half. This can now be implemented as the second TLU. The two TLUs in the first layer of pattern space can be implemented as O1 equals signum of minus 2x1 plus x2 minus half, and O2 equals signum of x1 minus x2 minus half. It will look like this. For both TLUs, inputs will be x1, the first input of the XOR gate, and x2, the second input of the XOR gate, and minus 1, the augmented input. The weight vector of the first TLU will be minus 2, 1 and half. Not minus half, because the augmented input is taken as minus 1. The weight vector of the second TLU will be 1, minus 1 and half. The outputs of the TLUs are O1 and O2. Let us look at the patterns now. Looking at the patterns, we can see that with respect to O1, pattern A lies on the negative side, will give the output 0. Pattern B lies on the positive side, will give the output 1. Pattern C lies on the negative side, will give the output 0. And pattern D also lies on the negative side and will give the output 0. With respect to O2, pattern A lies on the negative side, will give the response 0. Pattern B lies on the negative side, will give the response 0. Pattern C lies on the positive side, will give the response 1, and pattern D lies on the negative side, will give the response 0. We are attempting to map the points A, B, C, D from pattern space to image space. In the image space, A has now got mapped to 0, 0. B has got mapped to 1, 0. C has got mapped to 0, 1. And D has got mapped to 0, 0. Let us see if mapping these points into the image space will make the patterns linearly separable. In the image space, O1 and O2 are the axes. The space looks like this. We can see from this space that the patterns A and D collapse in the image space into a single image 0, 0. Now the patterns are linearly separable. We could choose a line passing through, say, 0, half and half, 0 to form a TLU. Pause the video for a minute or two and come up with the correct equation of the line to be implemented as a TLU in the second layer. Go ahead, give it a try. Yes, the equation becomes O1 plus O2 minus half equal to 0. And this can be implemented as a TLU with O1 as the first input, O2 as the second input, and minus 1 as the augmented input. The weight vector as 1, 1, half, and the output can be O3 equals signum of O1 plus O2 minus half. This is the final neural net that implements the XOR gate. The first layer provides an appropriate mapping of patterns into images in the image space. The second layer implements the classifications of images rather than the original patterns. The two examples discussed in this video provide an insight into the design of a layered classifier for linearly non-separable patterns. The design has used arbitrary but meaningful mapping of inputs into their images and then into output. The decision lines suitable for classification of patterns with known parameters have been produced by introspection. The example, however, has not yet involved training approach needed to design neural network classifiers. We will study this training approach in the coming lectures. I hope the concepts covered in this video are clear. Let us discuss this further in the live Google Meet. See you there. Thank you.